What if the war men are losing isn't on battlefield, but inside themselves? In a world where masculinity is mocked, where etiquette is seen as outdated, and where the strength without depth has become the norm, one woman stepped forward, not to judge, not to rescue, but to rebuild. Her name is Stefania Puleo, a woman of style, but more importantly of substance. A strategist in silk glove who choose not to build a brain but a movement. She teaches men how to lead again, how to walk into a room with dignity, speak with clarity, and live with purpose, not performance. But why? Why would a woman with every reason to stay behind the scenes choose to train men how to face themselves? Today, we ask that question and many more. So if you ever felt lost in this age of confusion, if you ever asked what happened to the real leadership, or if you just want to reclaim the power of presence, this episode is your map. Welcome to Life the Battlefield, where identity is not inherited, it's earned. Stefania, thank you for coming today for the interview. Saturday morning, hotel room. We're doing this because I couldn't find a space in hotel today, but I want to say thank you for coming today on a Life the Battlefield.
Thank you, Mario. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I'm super excited to be here.
Me too.
Honored to be on your podcast, actually.
Look, it's not every day that I talk to somebody like yourself, your profile, about things, relationship, men, women, all these things. So Stefania, just for our audience, who is Stefania Puleo? Okay.
Who am I?
Yeah.
Well, where do I start? Give me a few little questions.
Okay,
so like Australian born, Italian background.
I have some question for you. It's like, why a woman like you, who has a background in luxury, culture, refinement, choose to enter the battlefield where most men don't even know they are losing the war on their identity? So let's just say, I'm very curious why you choose this battlefield to help the men. That makes it easier for you to answer.
Yeah, and that's a question I get asked all the time, and I'm glad that you've asked me, because I'd like to clear it and like to repeat myself with this, because people do sort of say, why men? And you're a woman. Why are you, wanting to mentor men and coach them and inspire them and empower them? I guess because I believe I have a gift, I have a talent with working with men, okay?
I put a thumbs up, yes, okay.
I'm going to put it out there. However, I have a very strong brother, and I had a great father. I mean, he's passed away, but he was a very good role model, very masculine men in my life, and I think I've been able to deal with the energy of masculinity around me, together with the work that I've done over the years, working with men. And I believe too, with how my journey started, because I wasn't always doing this, obviously. I started with hairdressing. I started with working in a unisex salon, working with women, working with men. And being in a salon, you can imagine you would hear all these conversations, particularly the women. There'd be lots of gossip, lots of bitching, lots of problems. And I remember when I did start working in the salon, it was always like, my boss said to me, Stefania, you listen, but you don't give advice. You make them feel good, you make them look good, but you don't tell them what to do. And that was the rule. And I had no intention of, but it was like everyone would just pour their hearts out to me. And I really, could see a pattern of the dynamics between men and women, and the gap that was happening. So that really intrigued me. And the women would lament, to be honest with you. Like they would just say, you know, if only he could understand me. If only he could just feel what I feel. If only he could just, you know, listen to me. All this feeling stuff. And whereas the men, they wouldn't lament, right? They would be more strategic, more logical. They'd try and pick my brain, and they would say things like, Stefania, if I say this to her, what do you think she's going to say? Or what do you think she's going to do? So they were looking for, you know, strategic formulas to get their outcome. And I found that really like, wow, yes, we are so different. I know, you know, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. We've heard
no question asked, yes.
everything. It just goes round and round in circles.
Yes.
And we know that, but how do we understand each other? How do we fill the gap? And we can't expect women to be like men. Or we just can't expect that, because polarity, that's why we're attracted to the opposite sex, right? So I found it like we need to learn more about the opposite sex. We need to learn more about what the female wants, or vice versa, with the females, what the men want.
Do you think that us men, we are actually stupid, we don't know how to read the women?
No, I would not say that at all. Absolutely not. I think out of the two genders, if I can be really honest, I know this has been recorded and everything, I think in men, there's this innocence about them. Okay, that when they actually fall in love, when men actually decide to open up their heart to love, because they really feel that that's love, there's this innocence about them. And like this little boy, and it just opens up. And the minute they do that, and if it's in the wrong hands of the wrong woman, it can be very destructive. Like it can really hurt. Does that make sense?
I have so many questions now, because I'm comparing my life, you know, like I'm 52 now, and you know, I had a few relationships, and you're absolutely right. But one thing maybe it's not related to that way we talk right now, but I do remember every time when I break up with a girl, I'll be the one who is doing Crimey River story, you know, sadness, everything else, and I never understood why she's not sad, right? And then I met somebody totally out of the blue, and you know, just a friend, you know what I mean? And she says to him, because you're man, you're naive, you know. And I said, what do you mean naive? She says, like, you're giving her power every time you're crying and begging and everything else. I said, no, I love her. She says, you think so? You know what I mean? What do you think what she's doing with this? And you're absolutely right. Like, you know, we can be very innocent men, and I think we are more naive than the women. I think we are more submissive to idea, you know, I mean, in relationships, like, you know, we're in charge, but actually we're depending on your emotions.
And particularly when you're going deep into the heart, you know, that's a space, an energy area that is just so sacred. And, you know, for men, I believe it's hard to let anyone into that space. And the minute you do, it's like, well, the walls come down, and people take that as weakness.
Okay, so you decided to build you could easily choose to build your empire behind velvet ropes, right?
With what, sorry?
Velvet ropes. But yet you gone into that field with the men. What was your first initial experience with starting your own business in this field as a woman? So you don't advocating women, you're advocating for the men. How difficult for you was to start a business? What obstacles you faced?
Okay. Well, of course, I had a lot of men that were angry.
Why men?
And I think, both, right? I'll start with the men first.
Okay.
Because
that's very interesting. Men was angry with you.
Yes, because they felt that a woman's place was not to be, you know, inspiring and empowering men. And I say, men, there are great male therapists and coaches and mentors out there, and we need the men. And I think they have a place for male coaching. Absolutely. It's not like I'm against it. But I also believe that there's a place for female energy, to bring that female energy, not to make men soft. It's actually quite the contrary. Because coming from a female perspective, I know how females think. I know how they can be quite, manipulative. All right?
I'm going to put a special mark here, Mary. Thank you so much, Stefania.
Right. No, but I'm being honest.
No, I understand.
And, people say, where's it? And women then hate me for that. But no, I'm saying it in the most... a place of awakening, of being aware, knowing what you're dealing with. And I always say to men, I guess women are, if you can just relate women with cars. Right?
Oh my God, okay.
Now, hear me out here.
Yeah.
When you drive a normal car, we say normal, even a Mercedes, right?
Yeah,
You've got a Mercedes and the gears are on here, or the automatic, whatever, driving steering wheel, your brakes are on the pedals, yeah? And then all of a sudden, you upgrade. And you might go straight into getting a Lamborghini. Because, you can afford it. And men with great cars, prestige cars, and a Lamborghini, you're going to drive that Lamborghini a lot different than you're going to drive your Mercedes. For starters, your brakes are on your steering wheel, yeah?
Yes.
You
know very well, actually. I
know cars. Yeah? My brother's very much into cars, so I know cars. I grew up around all this. So it's going to feel different. It hugs the road different. It rides differently. It accelerates. It sounds different. You might be doing only 60 Ks, but that Lamborghini sounds like it's doing 120. Have you ever been in a Lamborghini?
Never.
I've never driven one, but I have been beside someone that's driven a Lamborghini. So I know the feeling, the adrenaline, the excitement. So I say to men, it's just like having this beautiful woman beside you that's just got power. It's got sexiness. It's got body. It's got everything. Yeah. And you're just like, in your element. It's euphoric. Who doesn't want to be in that kind of car? Who doesn't want to be with that type of woman? But you need to know how to handle a woman like that. You need to know how to handle a woman like that. That's what I'm saying.
I'm just parallelly, as you're talking about Lamborghini, I have this video from Monaco. Yeah, Monaco. I think Monaco. It's like. And all these people coming from that hotel, I think it's called the Hotel Paris, and they're coming all these Lamborghinis, everything else, and there's a lot of women in the background, and he just looked and he just, opened the door, and of course everybody wants to go in the Lamborghini. I said to myself, does she love Lamborghini or loves this old man? I want to ask you something as a woman, okay? See, you're going to laugh.
Okay, yeah.
As a woman, right?
Yes.
Is a man more attractive, and I want you to spot on, with a Toyota or with Lamborghini, and why?
Is a man
more attractive to the women?
Yeah.
Sorry, is a woman more attractive to the man with Lamborghini or with a man with the Toyota Corolla? Okay. Give it to me now.
Okay. Well, it depends what kind of woman we're talking about. Okay? Because there are women out there that's like, I've been in those Lamborghinis and I know what it's like, and it's, that doesn't attract me. I really want to be with a man that's got more, soul, more heart, more present. Because not always, but most of the time, Lamborghinis come with prestige. There's this element of illusion, of rich and, glitter
and
opulence. Opulence and everything. So, sure, the majority of women, I believe, would be more attracted to the Lamborghini. You definitely get a lot more heads turning towards the Lamborghini. Again, is that woman ready, or she's just going to take a deep dive and say, I'm ready for this Lamborghini, this man with the Lamborghini. Or is she seeing dollar signs? Well, I can't generalise, okay?
Yeah,
Because
no,
I'll be
that's
shot here by the women. 'Cause
You'll
not
be
all
shot
women-
one way or another, doesn't
one way or
matter.
another. But, you know, not all women are the same. I always say this. I always say, see your hand, your fingers. Are all your fingers the same? They all come on this one hand. They're all together, right? But they're different. One's shorter, one's longer, one's thinner, a bit fatter. Yeah? So we're all different. We all think differently. We have different values.
Yes.
What are our values? And there are people that are connected to their values and they know their values. They know what it is they want, how they want to feel, how they want to be treated. And then there are others that it's not important. It's the financial status that they're attracted to.
It's interesting what, like, I just want to reflect something. When I was growing up, my first car was a Russian Lada. And I couldn't understand, like, why the women avoids me. I mean, but it was a relic car, but it was my car. Like, I was very proud I had an old car. But as I growing up, and I think I belong in majority of in the group of the men, was always chasing that top shelf, women, that look, porn star look, whatever it is, and everything else. And then I realized, actually, on that part, I'm making every effort and a sacrifice to impress somebody for what I have. Till the one moment it was a common sense. I said, like, if I'm doing all of these things, there's going to be somebody who has more money than I do, better car, it's going to take my girl. You know what I mean? So I said, well, I gave up. But I'm glad that we cleared that one. My question for you is, like, when did you realize that men forgot to be men, to lead in business and life?
When did he forget to lead?
Yeah, when did you realize that we are men, we as a man, forgot to be the man, forgot to lead, forgot to be, to voice ourselves out, and but not just in business, but in values and presence as well. When the man stopped becoming man, when did you realize in your life the man stopped being man? Leader, voice in community, instead of this, like...
Yes, step back type.
When did you pick it up this?
I picked it up when man has given up his purpose for life and he's made it all about the woman.
Okay.
And unfortunately, that's what happens.
I like how you say this.
That's what happens. It's because it's like he's found the woman of his life. He's found the woman that is going to make him happy. And if he is very extrinsic, and it's only about external, values, material, whether she's good looking, whether she's tall, she looks like a blonde model, etc., etc. He hasn't really checked in on his intrinsic values, which are the more important ones. Now, let's face it, every man in their younger years, they're all attracted to beautiful, young, beautiful women, right? That's what's going to drive them. They're visual. Men are visual.
We are.
Right.
We are.
And there's nothing wrong with that. However, they've got to, give themselves a self-assessment of what is it that they want, what values, what is it, those intrinsic values that are going to be long-lived and more sustainable in a future with this person. So I think what happens is they can be all that, but then when they believe they've met the woman of their dreams, the woman of their life, and they still think they revert to scarcity mindset. Like you said before, because I don't have this beautiful car, I don't have the money, I don't have the cash in the account, some other rich guy's going to come around and he's going to pinch my woman.
Yes, but
he's going to take that woman because he's going to be able to give her all the luxuries, all of this, if that's what she's looking for. If that's what she's looking for. And that's why I think men need to know not only what they want, but understand what type of woman do they have in front of them and work out what are her values. What is she displaying? Not what she's just saying, but what are her actions and how is she following through with what she says? Is she following through with what she says?
You know what? You remind me of my parents. My dad was a typical alpha male. feet of God, it's like, it was that guy. But when my mom, she passed by, or she says something, he will melt himself into the wall. And I said, like, dude, you are preaching me here about, being the man, And my mom, she says something, he was like very quiet, and then he'll turn towards me and my brother, try to be man again. And I said to myself, what's wrong with you? When did your cajonas drop it down?
Exactly.
Right? But most of the men actually portray themselves the bigger than they are. So like, I have a personal question. You as a woman, explain to me that paradox of alpha males. And I'll tell you something what I can understand. When I was 18 years old, I was hanging with all these alpha males, including my father. So on the 14th of July 1991, I wake up in the morning and the war started in Yugoslavia. I found myself alone at home with just a message from my parents, we're okay, so they're gone night before. And then, as I was progressing in combat week after week, I see it's more average Joe like me in combat. All alpha males are gone, studying, they're anemic, they have blood pressure, heart problems suddenly, nobody fights the war. And then I realized it's all this biggest BS about these alpha males. Now, you as an expert, and the guys, I'm going to put in the comment section below all the Stefania details, so feel free to contact her. She's going to help you to become again man as you should be. So my question is for you as an expert and as a woman, what's this big story behind the alpha male? Why we need to call now suddenly alpha males?
I think that word has been exploded a little bit.
Thank you.
Because an alpha male isn't like, the big, the loudest in the room, the one that tells the biggest stories, the one that looks like, the Hulk type of thing. No. It's quite the contrary, actually.
Really?
I believe, a strong, confident man.
Yes.
It's not about his size, not about how loud he is, but how he presents himself, his presence, his being, his energy. And that's why I talk about this a lot, about helping men embody that masculinity. And what is that masculinity? To know self, to have that confidence, not arrogance, but confidence. But yet have that sensitivity and have that compassion, holding space for that woman and understanding. Now, a woman is going to test you, no doubt about that. I talk about testing, and men say, they're all mind games, they F with your head and all this kind of stuff. It's just the nature of a woman. So you're not going to change a woman. But if you learn to understand her, if you learn to act rather than react, act instead of react, and you hold your ground, you stay grounded in your masculine frame.
Okay.
She is not going to shake you. And when she knows she can't shake you, that's when she's going to trust you. That's when she's going to feel secure and stable in you. Not when you're pleasing, not when you're begging, not when you're apologizing, not when you're trying to fix things.
Do you try to fix men, or you helping men evolve, or perhaps you're trying to restore something else in a man?
I don't fix men, no.
Thank you.
I do not fix men. I'm not about fix, because men are already whole. That gift, that power, that self-confidence is already in them. I just help them extract it. I help them embody it, embody that masculinity that's already in them, and then let it out. Because it's been so far suppressed inside them that men are now getting really confused how to even act now in front of women. Because some of them
Let's continue.
Because some of them think if I pass her a compliment, she's they've had experiences where a woman will retaliate with a smart, comment, or claim it as sexist or harassment, all sorts of things I hear about, and it's only a compliment. It's only a compliment. And I said this once before in one of my videos. I lived in the Caribbean. Okay, that was one place I lived in.
Oh, come on, sure.
And I was there for 3 years. And you can imagine, I've lived in many places around the world, so I've also got the experience of different cultures, males in different countries, different cultures, living at total different dynamics.
Yes.
So there, the men were very expressive. Like it wasn't abnormal to have a man, doing the whistle thing or the hissing, and at first I thought, what's going on here? And then I thought, you know what, this is their culture. As a woman, I learnt to thank you. It was a compliment. It was a compliment. I mean, let's face it, a man wants to get with a woman. And that's how they express their, I guess, their attraction, their mating type of thing. It's like animals. Every different species of animals have their own mating language.
So let's go, this
so it's like, why do we get so upset about it? Because there's something within us that gets triggered. So then we project it onto them that they're this and that they're, I won't say because I don't like swearing, but they're this type of male. They're disrespectful. They're this, and I was like, all I did was compliment. I had this one gentleman, right? This happened a couple of years ago. Italian, right? Just come from Italy. A young 30-year-old who romantic. From Naples, you can just imagine, very Italiano, just very
expressive.
Yes. Thinks he's the Casanova of, in Australia, that all the women are going to flock to him, right?
Yeah.
So he was using his Italian-style tactics here in Australia with the Australian. Now, there were some women that that kind of like this kind of banter and play, but the majority of women was like, what? Where did you come from? It was just too much. They were offended. And he'd say to me, Stefania, I just told her how beautiful she was and what a beautiful body she had, right? So here he is thinking, I'm complimenting because I'm admiring what a beautiful woman, and she's getting offended. Nearly got slapped.
You know what?
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I noticed that. I was saying in the gym, right? I spoke with some of my friends now. I was in Thailand there for a couple of weeks. And in Thailand, again, it's a different approach. People are happier. Well, it's warmer hearts. They're living in poverty, but they're happier. And I said to myself, look at us in gym here. Like, everybody looks same. Everybody's sweating. There's no that sexual, explosions. When you come in gym in Australia, most of men are running away from the women, and the women are dressing themselves even more provocative. And I said, that's my prerogative. I can't understand. In Thailand, the women are almost naked in gym, sweaty and dirty, blood, everything else. Nobody has problem to talk to women. Same women from Australia. But when you go back in gym here, oh my God, it's like, don't look at me. But they are doing even more provocative exposure. I say as a man, because I see that things they're wearing, I said that doesn't make sense. The gluteus maximus, aka ass, it's becoming more pronounced with those clothing, everything else. I said to myself, but no man doesn't dare to watch you. So why? Because what you try to attract, obviously they want to attract a man, but they can't because man is afraid, as you say. Which leads to another question. We live in a digital age where the screen says everything. What a man doing the wrong when they go on the internet? It's a swipe left, swipe right, dating online, and images online. How much that influence men today, men's behavior today?
Well, that's an interesting one, because I think, with the dating online, it's a lot easier to hide behind that screen. And, back in the day, we'd go to the pub or the local, disco, back in the day, you had to talk face to face. It wouldn't be a problem for someone to just walk up to a female, male to walk up to a female and say, hey, gorgeous, what's your name? Like, whatever it was that he used his way. But there was this conversation going on. Obviously, in a digital world, there's this, I guess, protocol of texting backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
Some people think it's got to be so many texts before I'll ask her out for a coffee. It's just easier. Some guys choose to stay behind the screen and not even escalate to a voice call or a video call. And yet the women, a lot of women that I've spoken to, are waiting, like want to see you, want to talk to you.
So when you have a client, male client, what do you advocating more? To man goes to search that woman face to face rather than over the screen? Of course, let's just say hypothetically, I met you over the screen, and would you say to your client, okay, Mari, now it's time to see Stefania face to face, forget the screen, this is how you need to act, that's how you need to behave. Is that what you're advocating more?
Yeah, and I think too, being curious, asking intelligent questions, asking questions that are going to give you the answers of what you're looking for.
When did we forget to date? No, seriously, I'm born 72, I say I'm 52. And I remember there was no screens, there was no nothing in my age. And if I pick up the phone to call somebody I like it, my father will bash me. Because you know how much phone costs? Who are you calling? It's 8 o'clock at night. So it was all these, little signs, and, you try to approach the girls. I didn't even know how I did this in those days, honestly, but it happened, right? But today the man lost touch with reality. I think if you go on Instagram, everything is more or less AI. I start doubting things I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Honestly. And everybody has portrayed this tattoo blonde woman with the big silicone, exposures and everything else. I said to myself, when did we start acting that way, man? You know what I mean? It's not in our nature. But thank God we have a you for this.
I think things have definitely changed. They're definitely changed. And I always say you need to go back to self. You need to know what it is you want. You need to know what it is that makes you happy.
Is that your first question when a male client comes to you? What's the first question client has towards you, and what's your first response? Or what's the most common reason they're coming to you?
Okay. Well, it's varied, but at the moment, lately, it's the first question I ask them is, what is it you want? Why are you here?
Okay.
What is it you want from me? How can I help you with it? And at the moment, what I'm seeing a real trend of men being in relationships that they're not happy in, or they've just come out of a relationship and they're just lost. They've given all their power away. They've just given everything, and they come out very bitter, very jaded, and not being able to trust, and a lot of anger and resentment across the board when it comes to women. And then they go off and speak to their buddies, which have come out of the same sort of thing, and they are just having misery attracts misery, and they're getting consolidation from another man that hates women as well. So we have this camaraderie of men that are just, in a very angry energy field, and it's a low vibrating energy field, and yet they don't want to be lonely. Deep down, men or women, we don't want to be lonely. And loneliness is the biggest epidemic now.
Thank you for saying this.
It's very serious, and I don't think people really understand or realise how painful it is. To some point, I'm not sure if you know the statistics, but there's a higher suicide rate in men than there is in women.
No, I didn't know this.
Yes, there are more men committing suicide than women. Why? Because the men also are suppressing all this emotions, all this anger, all this resentment, this hurt, disappointment. They're not allowed to speak about it because they've got to be men.
May I ask you, Stefania, because Guys, as I said before, I'm going to put in description section and comment section Stefania details. Feel free to reach Stefania. She's not a stranger to the problems of the men, as you can see, and she's not a stranger to fix the problems. But I want to ask you on that note, when the client comes to you, have you ever met men so broken? You knew he doesn't need to be polished, but he needs a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And the purpose, and that's why I say, think about, it goes back to self. Sure, she's over here and you want to have that relationship with her, but let's get you strong. Let's get you strong enough to be able to handle any storm that will come your way, that you'll be able to weather any storm, whether it comes from her or family or external work, business. Because let's face it, when we're down, I talk about the three main important areas of our life. It's our health, our relationship, and our financial wealth and spirit. And spirit.
That's very important. Spiritual is very important.
Now, if those four aren't balanced, one of them is going to lag, right? One's going to feel the grunt of it. And then when one feels the grunt of it, the other one is affected. So say, for example, a relationship. If you're having a not so good relationship, everything's not happy at home, and then, you stay at work longer because you just try and avoid, and you think, if I give her space, then she'll get herself sorted. But it's only making the gap bigger. And you still come home and there's still a problem. Then your work starts getting affected. You're not as productive. You're not as, responsive to your work. You're not as dynamic with your team group. You're not the CEO, maybe, that you were 6 months ago. Yes. So that's been affected. Then when that's affected, then it's the health, because you're not going to the gym, you're not eating right, you're drinking too much coffee, you're smoking too much. Or maybe you might start doing a little bit of drugs. Or you have other addictions. There's heaps of them. There's not only drugs, there's pornography, there's, you're not getting it at home, for example. We're not getting that sexual satisfaction at home. So we'll go down and visit the local brothel or have an escort, while you're out of town, to fill that void. But then when you come back, it's still there. So then these four, pillars of our lives, they all start coming down just because one area hasn't had, the attention that it needs. You're
the first one I met. Usually I'm observing the coaches, consultants around me. And I will say something what I learned in my life, that the most valuable commodity in life we have, it's a health, emotional, physical, mental. And you mentioned this in your presentation. Hence, Guy, I'm going to refer Stefania anytime to you. As you know, I'll never refer no coaches who doesn't speak about health. Because with our health, and when I was in Thailand now with the three other my mates, and never been in Thailand before, and I know the reasons why the people come there. I try to understand why these men come there, right? We talk about men in late 50s, 60s, much more younger. So they try to explore, you can buy the, what's it called, cannabis, it's all shops there for legal you can buy. But prostitution is on the highest level, all these neon lights and everything else. And I think myself, that's very sad that someone needs to travel, a couple thousand kilometers to go there to experience something. If you're not happy at your home, no other place on this planet Earth can make you happy. But if you choose the person who makes you happy, can be anywhere around the globe happy. And you just cover this very well. I want to ask you, what's the most dangerous lie men believe about masculinity today? And who is profiting from?
The most dangerous lie?
Yeah, the men believe about masculinity.
Well, I think the most dangerous lie is the lie that you believe. First
Okay,
of all,
that's
right?
right,
If you believe it, that is dangerous.
Yes.
That itself is dangerous. And it could be anything. But the fact that, you know, I hear a lot today where, you know, men are being ripped from their masculinity.
How?
How?
That's what I said. How do you see this, Stefania?
Well, I think this is very contradictory because nothing gets ripped off you unless you allow it to be ripped off you. Okay?
That's a good one.
So,
That's,
you know, this is a cop-out. I'm sorry, gentlemen. You know, I will say this because it is a cop-out because you're not taking responsibility. And if you feel that you're being ripped of your masculinity, for example, well, rather than sitting in the why, I always say, how? How can I take that back? Because it's not definite. It may be just an emotion you're feeling. Emotions come and go. You might feel angry about it. You might feel disappointed. You might feel wrongly done by. But it's only an emotion, and emotions are energy in motion. So they come and they go. They come and they go. So getting to the how. What is this all about? And is this really me? Do I believe this? Because if I believe it, then I'm giving it power. And if you're giving it power, then yes, you are manifesting exactly what you think you are.
Let's talk about a manifestation.
Okay.
What like I just put on record, I highly recommend Stefania, guys, on those who believe in spirituality, feel free to reach her as well, because Stefania, she's not just somebody who can help the man to get back masculinity and be the man again. I advocating that it's equal relationship, it's always equal. I've been brought up on this world that men need to respect a woman, man needs to carry the bags, man needs to open the door for the woman, and all these things. You know what I mean? That's how I was brought on this world, and I believe in this because it's like, after all, I'm the man. I will say this again. Men can, I know you don't like me, somebody swearing, but I'll say this. Men love to bullshit that we are the hunters. No, we are not. And I say this very simple. If woman says no, it's no. All these bros, you know, me, Tarzan, you, Jane, it doesn't work that way. Right. However, no, that's me. Because I saw, particularly in days in the military, in the war, those days there was no SMSs, thank God, or, you know, digital technology, so the letters will arrive on front line. Well, he will read and she will leave him for somebody else who has bigger car, better car, these things. And I would say, oh my God, I'm so glad I'm single. I mean, I was like 19 years old, like, so I saw a lot of suffering in the men, and they couldn't do nothing. So they developed, as you say, that part, drugs, alcohol, and eventually suicide, right? But I'm glad that you're helping men in a way nobody else does. It's with consultancy, but spiritual. So let me talk about manifestation. Mm-hmm. I was the man who didn't believe in this, right? And I will make fun of everybody. Today is a different story. How important is manifesting or manifestation in our daily life? Relationship, love, business. Mm-hmm. Stefania.
How important is it?
Yes.
Oh my God. So important.
Yeah.
It's so important because not only is it fun,
okay.
You get to create, you know, you get to create, you get to attract, you get to build, you're the architect of your life. If you can understand that and treat it, I always say, look at children, how they play, right? They're playing and they're very present when they're playing, and they're manifesting, they're pretending they're on this big mountain. Boys, if you watch boys with their cars, you know, and their aeroplanes, and they're pretending they're on this big jet, and in their mind they can see this jet, they feel it, they smell it, they can smell the fuel of it. They're just very present and they're playing. And you can't see any mountains, you can't see any valleys, you can't see a runway, but that little boy is creating that whole scene. Yeah. And he is very present right there and then as he's playing. So this is what I say to men. You need to play. You need to use that vision, really, so activate that third eye.
Yeah.
Just really play with it. Don't get so serious. You're so serious at work. You're so serious even at work. Treat it as play.
I'm glad this is not scripted conversation, right? Because that's life the battlefield it is. So I just want to say thank you to all my 300,000 subscribers and followers. Thank you very much. Feel free to reach Stefania. I'm going to put in comment section below, in description as well. Guys, reach Stefania. Particularly those men who are struggling with their own identity. Or maybe I want to just bounce back the question. If man likes somebody, likes that girl, right? And he's afraid to approach. 40 Years Old Virgin, right? The movie. Did you watch that one? 40 Years Old Virgin?
Oh, yeah. No, I never actually did. But
yeah, you need to watch it so I can because, look, it's funny, but I think there's a lot of men there who, in late age of their life, and they have no sexual experience, right? But, okay. Can you help the man to approach the woman he likes?
Absolutely.
How do you do this?
That's what I'm good at.
Okay. Tell us more. So as I said, my first question was when the people come to you, Mel, your question is what do you want? How we can help them? But now let's go deeper. Now they say, look, I like such and such person. I can't show you the picture because I'm ashamed. But how you convince that man, or how do you use your skills and your knowledge, experience, that man overcome fear of approaching that woman?
Right. Well, first we're going to work out what fears he has, right? And what are these fears? And will these fears really kill you? Because we act, not only men, us women too, we get into that fear mode and we act like it's going to be the end of the world. Like we're literally going to die if this doesn't happen.
Yeah.
This is how worked up we get. It's actually laughable, Mario.
Yeah.
It's laughable, but we don't laugh about it because it's real. And that fear does feel very real to us. So I don't give them words, I don't give them tactics and tricks and you've got to go there and you've got to say this and you've got to go and look at... No, we work on self. I work with the individual and I build them up that they can feel comfortable in their own skin. That confidence that's already in them, we draw it out of them. In a way that it's... I don't know, it's very transformative. I really, and somewhat magical in ways because, sometimes I get calls from my clients and not long ago, a month ago, one of my clients said to me, you know what, Stefania, I'm going to be really honest with you. I said, I hope so. He said, when we had our last session, this was 3 days after, he rings me, right? And he says, I'm going to be honest. I did not feel like anything was happening. And I felt like, what is she doing? What is she talking about? She's pissing in my pocket. That's his exact words, right? That I was, taking him for a ride. And I said, and he said, you wouldn't believe it. It's the third day. And this has happened. Like he was over the moon. And he said, and I feel somewhat like I've got to tell you that, my judgment was wrong. And I was like, yes. You see, because transformation doesn't happen like that for some people. It doesn't happen overnight. You've had this problem for 40 years, 50 years, 56 years. I don't know how old you are, 70 years.
Thank you for being honest. Yeah.
So we can't take all that, peel all that back or unravel that all in just one session, 2 sessions, 3 sessions. That's why when, men work with me, it's more than just 1 or 2 sessions because I can't undo what has been done over a period of time. The mind has fallen into behavioural patterns. The subconscious is working. It's our hard drive. We are working. We are acting. We are responding from a part of our brain that is most active, like 88 to 90% of what we do daily, it comes from our subconscious. So that means a lot of the times we're not even aware of it. It's not like our conscious mind. The conscious mind is what's talking, the third voice and everything. But a lot of our, behaviours is being driven from our subconscious. So going back to that, what I just said before with this gentleman that, had this epiphany, and he was like, over the moon because he put in the work. We worked together. He kept going, even though he thought my stuff was like, whatever Stefania's saying. But there was transformation. There was a shift. And this is what I say. It's like going to the gym. You guys know this. When you want to work out that bicep, then you want to get growth there or get your pecs looking nice and big, right? Or having some nice calf muscles. Yeah. They don't just happen. You got to work it.
Yes, correct.
You got to stretch that muscle. It's going to hurt. There are times you come back from the gym that
you need to break it to remake it.
Yeah, you feel like holy mogoly, my arms. I can't even lift them like this. My side deltoids here are just like killing me because you put in the work.
Yeah.
And it's that breakthrough. It's breaking through that threshold of pain. And the same when we do work on ourselves, whether it's mental, spiritual, emotional, or physical. It's the same thing, just a different area of your life that you work in. So, yeah, that's what happens.
I'm just glad that you give the hope to the man. I think that society needs more Stefanias. With all honesty, I'm saying this to you. I have at home 22 years old man, my son, and I can see how I was different than him. I was 22, I was lieutenant, I was in military, I was less sophisticated than him, you know what I mean? And but when I talked to my son, I talked to Matteo, I said to him, Matteo, what do you think about those things? He said, Dad, I'm lost, because there's so much things over there, I don't know what to do. And I said, well, as long as you're respecting, your partner, that's things I try to say, generally speaking. But the world needs more of you, Stefania. So tell us,
thank you,
how our listeners can find you.
Okay, well, I have a website. I operate from, my business name is The Gentleman's Square. Okay?
It's a beautiful name. So,
yes, I'm Stefania, behind, that drives The Gentleman's Square because I wanted to eventually, this is, the Gentleman's Square isn't just a square, it's going to be a movement. This is my goal, this is my passion, that men can, come to this place of having sacred space, having a space that they can be heard, that they can feel, and it feels safe, and it's empowering. It's empowering. I do have a website. They catch me on the website. They can follow me on YouTube. I have lots of free content on YouTube, LinkedIn, and of course the other social medias. Facebook, I've kind of dropped off that. I really feel that my audience, it's not there. I really feel that the YouTube is where men are relating more.
They are.
I get to really talk to them and go deep with. Not only the why, but the how, and how to get out of certain things. And of course, I offer a strategy call. I'm very big on wanting to talk to you because I'm a very visual person, a bit like the men, visual and auditory, which means it's important for me to listen to your voice, feel your energy, and see you. And for those that feel comfortable and are ready to do that, then I do offer that. I do have a book. I've got my Master the Language of Attraction. I've got a free book, Men's Guide to Attracting Your Ideal Partner. That's a free book you can get.
They can download the website right here.
Download that from the website.
Guys, download that book.
I've got a few. I've also got the 5 juicy ways to connect with women. So there's lots of ways of getting hold of me. However, if you are serious and you want to, break that cycle, if you want to if you're ready to stop doing what you're doing and you're not getting anywhere, then I do invite you to hop on a call and we can strategically map it out, see what you need. I can steer you in the right direction, help you, whatever it is. I'm very open and honest, not here to play games, and nor do I, want to be working with men that think they're going to play games, because they're not going to be playing games with me. Yeah, I'm, sweet and, got the right energy, but I'm also very, I'm all about, commitment and working with men that are really ready to make that shift.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stefania Puleo for the Life the Battlefield. And if you're struggling with your masculinity, dating the women, if you don't know these 5 secret elements of the 5 juicy elements how to date the women, just pop in on the website. I'm going to put in the comment section description as well, Gentleman Square. Feel free to download the books, contact Stefania, and become the part of the movement, become the part of community. And I say, claim back your identity, claim back your masculinity, be that man. Women are going to love you, going to be grateful. Stefania, thank you very much for being my guest today.
Thank you, Mario. That was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. I appreciate you having me.
No, I appreciate you, because it's like, you make a time today to come for this interview, and it's like, it's very important to men understand there is the women there who understand the man, because that's what you said during the interview. We may have a tendency to go to our buddies who come from another crappy relationship, marriage, divorce, and everything else, and they're advising us. So thank you, Stefania, for being my guest there.
Thank you, Mario.
You're welcome.